episode of Our Point of View Talk Show. Yay. This is season 5. We made it to another season. We had a year of closure. Everybody was locked in. Everybody was doing a new normal. So now it's season 5, and we're going to talk a little bit about the state's opening now. But first, let's introduce everyone. Season 5, we have State Representative Derrick Jackson from District 64. Hi, Derrick. Derrick, are you with us? Well, let's go to
What's happening? I'm on the move.
You're on the move. Derrick is on location. He's on the move, but he's with us. Can you hear us?
I think he's
on location. Good, great.
He said, I'm on location. Okay, and we also have Cinta Mickle with us. Hey, Cinta.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Lynette Jackson, part of the Jackson 3.
Hey, everyone.
Are you back with us, Derrick? Okay, so we're going to be talking about the state's opening and how we feel about this. Now, we've been in a pandemic for over a year now. Everybody's getting antsy. People want to get out and want to do their own thing. They want to get back to their new normal because of the vaccination. Everybody's, getting the vaccination, so they feel they should be able to just get out and do what they did over a year ago. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Talking about opening up the states and how we feel about it. So Lynette, you want to start? How do you feel about the state's opening?
I'm kind of cross between, I know we have to open up because of business-wise, economically we need to, but at the same time, I feel that because everyone is not vaccinated, some people aren't, they're proclaiming that they're not going to be vaccinated. That kind of messes with me a little bit if I'm going to a restaurant. And then it's also hard. I have my card, to show that I'm vaccinated, which I'm happy to say. But you have some people that are, they've been talking about faking the little vaccination card. My thought is, why even fake it if you're not going to do it? So, but at the same time, so I see that happening. And it's just kind of, I like I said, I understand. I definitely want to contribute to businesses that, like restaurants and places that we can go to, that even though socially distancing ourselves, but I still think we need to still wear our mask, even when we're out, because we never know. I have mine, but we never know what can happen. It's a possibility we still can get it and pass it on to our loved ones. So I'm kind of straddling the fence a little bit about it.
Now, with the vaccination is only it's only supposed to protect the person that was vaccinated, correct? It's
right.
Not going to protect who you're around.
Right.
So if everybody you're around is not vaccinated, then there really is no protection.
Exactly. And that's the problem.
And from my understanding, once you get the vaccination, you can still get the virus, but it'll make it so that your symptoms aren't as bad.
Exactly.
It'll make them milder, but it's not going to protect the person that, that doesn't have the vaccination. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's right. And that's the issue. So if I'm going somewhere and somebody has the virus and I can catch it, fine. I may not have any symptoms, I may be asymptomatic, but at the same time, I don't want to get it. And then I can give it to someone like who hadn't had the chance to get their shot yet and pass it to them and they get it. And God forbid anything happens to them. So I just wish that everyone would get vaccinated and just follow the science and just focus on that, as opposed to, just giving ridiculous reasons as to why you don't want to get to me. And that's my personal opinion. So
how do you feel about that, Cinta?
Well, one thing I can say that I have admired about all this is the social distance. I believe it or not, it used to really trouble me how close people get to you when you be standing in line. I would say, why is this person on my back like this?
Right.
They would. And then the sneezing and everything, and people have become very, very understandable with not doing this, covering their mouths, doing the shoulder thing and everything. And I'm glad that they've become aware of that. So I am excited about that. I do hope that people do continue to do the mask, which I am going to continue to do the mask regardless. I got my second today.
Ah,
Okay.
And I was one of the ones who said, I'm not doing this mess. But I went ahead and said, I'd rather, it's better to be safe than sorry.
exactly.
And I do have kids and I don't want something happening to them. And all I have to do is just get this shot. So I just got the shot. And so I'm going to ride with this thing and we're going to get it done. But I am going to continue to wear my mask. I am going to continue to do my social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm loving the whole washing the hands. I mean, I was like, people wash their hand more than you ever seen them washing it. And that's great. Kids taking breaks, stopping, washing their hands before they do it. All that is great. But this is called hygiene, people.
You should have been doing it.
And
Wait
if
for a
it's just
pandemic
to
and they told
happen,
her wash your hands.
right. And it's fine. So it's we just
Not to mention the flu. You haven't heard about the flu hardly at all.
right.
No.
Think about it.
Because people washing their hands now.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
if we just continue on, I think we'll be safe.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Derek?
Yeah, listen, first off, I understand it is a balance to the point that was made by LJ. But the thing is, we cannot put the economy over people.
True.
Right?
That's true.
I mean, if you look at what's happening over in India, right? A lot of my constituents are from India, and they're having loved ones right now. Their hospitals over in India are maxed, and we've already went through this the last 14 months, y'all. And so every time we witness a spike, Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, right? And to the other point that LJ made, a third of our population already said they're not going to become vaccinated. So we're going to have to continue to deal with this. And so just today, Governor Kemp is saying, hey, let's open up Mercedes-Benz Stadium and Truist Stadium, baseball and soccer and all that.
Yeah.
We got 40,000 people inside now.
And not social distancing. Not social distancing
How
for the
can
Braves
we
game.
social
You
distance
can't
to
get
that?
social distance inside the stadium when you got 40,000 people. Now, I'm fully vaccinated, right? Fully vaccinated. And the reason why, going to the point about, are we opening up too fast, too quickly? Yes. Listen, I prefer for us to be 6 feet apart instead of 6 feet deep apart.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. There's a difference between apart and deep part. Deep
That's
part,
right.
you are 6 feet under.
Yeah.
And it's already this the facts are coming out where over 450,000 Americans of the 566,000 didn't have to die. Right? It wasn't like, they had they were terminally ill, right? Cancer or something like that. They said over 455,000 because the previous administration failed to do the right thing.
Right.
And you notice what the current administration and what they have accomplished in 100 days.
That's right.
100 days, right? A little more than 3 months. And so when you think about the grand scheme of things, there's over 327 million Americans, right? A third, they're saying that's not going to get vaccinated. Today, we only have 28% fully vaccinated, right? And so we still have some time to go, but I just think you don't want to rush it. I know, listen, I want to get out. That's why I'm outside right now. All right, I'm outside, but no one is near me, right? I mean, look, no one is near me because socially, this is working. That's why they were saying, well, we're at a plateau. The numbers are going down because it's working. The masks are working, being socially distanced, right? My mama already taught me how to wash my hands, so I don't need to keep repeating wash your hands. I mean, I was a little boy and she like, wash your hands. I had to wash my hands before I eat, consume food. I had to wash my hands after I used the restroom. I always, right? So some things should have been already in place. But the reason why we did not see a significant number of flu because people were sheltering in place, right? These these viruses need people to transfer from transfer to transfer. And when, you're not engaged indoors, like at a restaurant or at a sports bar or these kind of places where a lot of our citizens, fellowship in close proximity. It is impossible to be socially distant in these kind of places. So we just got to just be careful. I prefer for us to get this thing behind us, but we have to do it smart. We have to do it right. And we need everyone to become vaccinated. And vaccines work. And the reason why we know they work, because we don't have to deal with smallpox, right? We don't have to deal with polio, mumps, measles,
Yep.
all these things that have been in our society for over 100 years. And just like my grandson, he's 21 months old. He had to go through a series of shots, right? At 12 months, 18 months, etc. So vaccines work. There's no conspiracy,
And like you said, you want to be on one side than the other. I don't want to be a part of the 500,000+. I want to be a part of the smaller percentage that have had minor issue or mild issues. I'm not saying, because there have been a couple deaths, but I don't want to be on the other side. I would prefer to stay on my side and just know that I'm protected some kind of way, because this time last year, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the schools opening. I actually saw a interview. It was a mom from Georgia, actually from Gwinnett County. She was at the Gwinnett County Public School Board meeting, and she was saying how they need to take those masks off the kids. The kids, they react different to the virus. They don't get sick like adults do. So why are we making them pay by making them be masked up, making them do their social distancing, not allowing them to have their play dates and all? She was really, really upset about it.
Because they can still pass the virus.
She doesn't realize that kids, okay, they may not, in the state of Michigan, there's 70 kids who were hospitalized for COVID. They had COVID. There were 70 kids. I'm sure the number has gone up, but a friend of mine, he told me about a story about his daughter passed last year from COVID. What happened was, and she was only, I think, 37 years old. And what happened was, her and all her friends got together. They were all tested. They all tested negative for the virus. And they went to like a little birthday party or something. She caught it from a child. She caught it from a child. And then she wound up passing in 3 days. So, we need to keep these masks on the kids. We need to keep the social distancing. We need to make sure they wash their hands. I mean, I know the parents may get upset. They think, okay, well, my child's not going to have a normal life and being able to grow up as a child and have play dates and play on the playground and go spend the night over Johnny's house. But wouldn't you rather them not do those things so that they could be able to see their next birthday, or that their grandparents can be able to see their next birthday? It's just that, and she was like really emotional. Like, y'all need to take these masks off the kids. Y'all need to open up the schools. But I think people need to be educated more about what's actually going on. I think we need to be educated.
Well, and Jacqueline, I witnessed that news coverage about the mother and how she just went off on the school board. But in that same county, there's a 17-year-old young man who was asymptomatic, and both of his parents are no longer with us because he contracted the coronavirus.
Wow.
And this young man would much rather have practiced those very measures that the CDC guidelines require for us to do in exchange to having both of his mother and father. His father had some, we all have some pre-existing condition, right? But his father had more than the mother. I think the father was like 55 and the mother was like early 50s as well. But they're no longer here. He brought home the coronavirus. This was last year. It was a tragic story, and it was on the news right up in Gwinnett. A+ student. I mean, and both of his parents died within days of each other, within days, and he was the carrier. It was asymptomatic, and so I get what the mother is saying, but until that pain is on your doorstep, right? We're not in this situation for any citizen to be selfish, right? This requires for us all, which is mind-boggling every time I hear someone that refused to get the coronavirus because they believe it's some sort of sinister plot. I'm like, if y'all thought it was a sinister plot, why would you think we vaccinated the doctors and the nurses, those who go to school for a long time to take care of us, right? And the sad part is, and I know we covered this extensively on Our Point of View with a very phenomenal nurse, Meady, and an epidemiologist, Dr. K. And, because we were concerned, and I appreciated Jacqueline's leadership in saying, hey, you know what, we need to cover Meady's journey so our Point of View audience can be informed and know the facts, know the facts. And I would the other week when someone was asking me, like, Representative Jackson, how do you know, given the history of this country and vaccination and the Tuskegee experiment and all that? I said, listen, I acknowledge all that. I did.
Yeah.
But you know what I said to him, LJ? I said, excuse me, sir, do you get on the airplane? He's like, yeah, I get on the airplane. I love to travel. I said, okay. All right, cool. I want to establish. I said, do you know the pilot? Do you talk to the pilot? Do you know the qualifications of the pilot? But you still get on the airplane that's 33,000 feet in the air.
Right.
Because he criticized me of having this blind trust. I said, well, what do you think you're exercising every time you get on that airplane?
That's right.
Blind trust. So don't question me because I elected to get me and my family fully vaccinated. When you get on the airplane and you have no conversation with the pilot, you don't even know if the pilot is, what state of mind they may be in. They could have had a very bad day, right?
Might be drinking.
You get on that airplane, you fasten your seatbelt, and you get to your destination, right? Yeah. Go to sleep and everything, right? And so we just got to make common sense, exercise common sense. We got to leave all these conspiracy, folks, who got this masterful,
man, tell me about it.
Internet, and we just need to leave them aside and say, okay, for you, that's for you. But as for me and my house, we're fully vaccinated.
I like that. You are absolutely, I even got you better than that. What about a doctor? You may go see your doctor. You trust in a doctor. You don't know if what he did earlier that day, you don't know if he's writing a prescription for you for, what do you call it? Triple X, what do you call that with the bar, with the skull thing? You don't know what they're prescribing for you, but you're taking and trusting a doctor. You don't have no clue as to what they've gone through the past couple of days, what happened that morning. But you're gonna trust them, and they're a perfect stranger. Okay, but they prescribe you something that could possibly kill you, hurt you, and you're okay with that. And
then you go out. You go out to restaurants. You go out to restaurants and sit down, and strangers are fixing your food, and you don't know what you're eating. You don't know what's in it.
And I don't care what anybody say. You have kids at home, let them tell you at school when you take them to school that they missed a booster shot. You're going to make sure you get on their phone. You're going to call the doctor. You're going to make sure they get that because they got to go to school.
They got to go to school.
Yeah. Well,
you're going to make sure.
When I joined the military, I stood in line. I have no idea what those jokers shot at me in that line. No, when we did, we had to stand in line, and we had it had to be at least 10. Just do all the way down. And that was it. And I said, and we all had shots. And we're gonna give it to you again. It was like, okay. And They loaded us up everything. And then when anthrax came out, guess what we had to do? Get in line again.
Another line, yep.
And I was like, what we need anthrax for? Just because. And I think they was experimenting on us. But I said, well, I'm still here now. So
Yeah. Hey, listen, you raised a good point. I don't know how many shots during my 22 years in the Navy, right? I mean, every time we had to go do, special operations in a country that, we had to get a shot
you had to get a
because
shot.
some of these countries, they got some deadly stuff over there. But
Right.
we got a shot. They came over and said, hey, sir, we got to give you this shot before y'all go over there to country ABC. And listen, I'm still here, right?
Yeah,
Like to
and
your point.
we just stood right there. Okay.
Let them do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
We all had vaccinations when we grew up. I still have the mark on my arm for
Yep.
the vaccination.
Mhm.
Anybody who was my age or older
Yep.
than when they started it, but you have that little mark on your arm for
Yep,
the
right
vaccination
there.
to go to school. So it was
Yep.
like there was no problem back then.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And they kept records.
But-
We got that flu shot every year, the Tdap every 5 years. And when you stood right in line, we got it done. So
Yeah.
I met a lady who worked for the CDC. I think I told Jacqueline this story. I met a lady a couple of weeks ago that worked for the CDC, and she said she was adamant about not getting a shot. And she didn't say why. She just said she worked for the CDC. She know what goes on there, and she's not. And I asked her, was she a doctor? And she said, no. I said, well, are you administrative working for the doctor? She was like, no. I was like, okay, well, are you the janitor? Are you working the cafeteria? I'm trying to understand. What do you do? I'm trying to understand what are you doing for me to sit there and understand why you're not getting the shot? Is it something personal? Because it's personal for me. My father's not here because of COVID. Okay.
Right.
So if you don't know have a loved one that's passed,
That's right.
there's nothing you got to say to me if you're not a doctor that can explain to me why I shouldn't get this shot. And I asked her, I said, do you have children? I said, okay, but when it's time again for them to get that booster shot to go to the second grade or the first grade or even kindergarten, you're at a doctor you don't know their background. You see the plaque on the wall, but you have no clue as to what they've done in life and what they're going to give your child, and you're okay with it. But she wasn't a doctor, so she was somebody else. And no offense to her, but you say you work at CDC, that means nothing to me. Okay, I'm following the science right now.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, listen, LJ,
Yeah,
we exercise blind trust every day,
every day.
right? I
yeah,
mean, we just gave multiple scenarios just now between the four of us. We gave a plethora of scenarios, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is no different than when we go to the grocery store and we pick up the produce. You don't know if that person washed their hands or not,
yes, right.
right? You don't know they're right. I mean, folks have food poisoning because there's a bacteria that was on a human's hand handling food, and that's why we have, And I was telling this other person, I'm not gonna use any names, but because they're very educated, very smart, right? And I asked him, I said, dude, let me ask you this question. Don't you think because of what happened in the Tuskegee experiment or whatever else, decades ago, we put things in place today, right? Let Ebola or E. coli or any other type of bacteria or virus, we're on it, right? You just got to have the right leadership. Unfortunately, we did not have the right leadership in place these last 4 years when the coronavirus came.
That's
Right.
right.
But when Barack Obama was president, we had potentially 3, pandemics, but they didn't happen. Right. The Zika virus, y'all remember H1N1, swine
Mhm.
flu,
Yeah,
E. coli, right? Barack shut it down. He got those
Right.
he got those epidemiologists over wherever. They found a source, they contain it, and we never ever had to close the schools here
Right.
during that man's 8 years in office, because you gotta have the right leadership to say, you know what, we believe in the science. He had like 27 doctors or scientists. I mean, he set up a whole committee, and then they created a playbook, a notebook, and
sure did.
and then the administration, they threw it away.
Yeah, they
And
did.
he called this to happen. He said that this was going to happen in 5 years, almost to the day. He said it, and it happened approximately 5 years later.
Mhm.
He said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they get the briefings. I was there. I remember,
Mm.
at the Pentagon, there's certain things we get the intel and we
Mm.
say, and so that's why when Barack said, here are 5 things you need to be on the lookout for. That's going to
Right.
keep you awake as president. And he said North Korea, right? Because, because the intel, Russia was number 2, right? Because of the
Mhm.
intel.
Mhm.
China was number 3, right? Then he said it's going to be some sort of virus, number 4, right? I mean, he just went down the list. And this guy just had a complete disregard. And we had over 560,000 Americans that's no longer with us. For
Right.
what?
Right.
Why?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Trying to convince people that, oh, it's gonna be this gonna happen just 2 days, puff is gonna blow away, or drink some Clorox, some disinfectant, or stand in front of
Right.
the sun. I mean, just craziness.
And some people actually did it.
Oh, our poison hotline here in Georgia went through the roof.
Some people did it.
Our
Well, he
poison
also
control
told him to
hotline.
do something about some fish food or fish something, a fish tank, something. He told, and somebody did it. I think they were in a city and they did it and got really sick from doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're right. You're right.
So,
Yeah.
So, Derek, were you
So-
ready to say something?
yeah, so I was just gonna, make the point. This is the reason why we stress to our point of view audience how you have to do your research, know your facts. We bring subject matter experts for a reason. So then after you know the facts, got all the information, listen to the subject matter experts, then make a sound decision.
Right.
Make a sound decision.
Right. But we have what we call now a vaccine hesitancy that's going on. People are hesitant about getting the vaccine because of lack of knowledge. They don't understand. They only hear what's going on in the news. They don't do their own research. Because like when you go to college to get a degree, you're working on that every day except for the weekends or whatever. You might even have Saturday classes, but you're working, and it takes you like 2 years to get an associate's and then 4 to get your bachelor's. So it takes time. You have to educate yourself. So people are not educating themselves. It's like they're not watching they're not watching the news, watching the CDC. They're not educating. They're like getting their own information, educating themselves. And they're miseducated. Like if you're sick or something, you want to diagnose yourself, you're misdiagnosing yourself. So that's what a lot of people are doing. They're not getting they're not Googling it. They're not, talking to their doctors about it. They're just not doing it. So they have that hesitancy about, well, I'm not going to get it. Or, they just need to be educated more on it.
Again, how much Googling do you do when you're going to get shots that you need at the doctor? How much Googling do you do?
Right. I don't. Yeah.
I didn't Google anything when they told me my child needed 6-week or 8-week shots, or when my kids went to college, they had to have like 6 shots, or I didn't question it. I just knew they had to have it. And without it, they could not go. So I just had to trust them.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do that. So, I mean, I'm not saying not to do it. And I'm not saying, I understand that they're saying that it happened so fast, but I still would rather go to the right than the left.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, I'm on the opposite side because both Lynette and Cinta and Derek have all been vaccinated. Me, I have not. But see, you're talking, Cinta, Lynette, you're talking about when our kids were younger and they had to get their vaccinations for school. They had to get all their shots and everything for school. That's something that was going on for years. So they've, been constantly doing that. Now with the coronavirus vaccine, that's something that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that there needs to be more research on it. Because I'm still on the fence about whether I should get it or not.
Well, like I said, until you have been in a situation where you've had a loved one is close to you pass away, Of that 500 and I don't know what 69 or 89,000 that have passed, -1 is my father. And until you dealt with a situation like that, to know he would have been here had he gotten the shot, you know. And I'm just being, and I'm standing true to that. And I would hope that, you know, we all would rethink this. And I understand it's not, it was done quickly, but it had to be. Do you know where we would be at this point had it not? It had to be. And even look it up. I think I was watching Sanjay Gupta. He explained how they even got to it. They already had the model of it. They needed just to add to it. So it's not something that it was already created. They just needed to alter it to fight against this virus. So they already had it. It's just something that they had to do. So, I mean, you can do your research on that, but I strongly suggest anybody get it because, again, I don't want to be a part of the 500, and I'm happy to say that I probably won't be.
Right. You know, let's talk about that for a second, LJ, because you made two good points. The science, right? I mean, our entire world is around science, right?
It is math and science.
I'm outside, and listen, I'm looking at the trees, the bushes, right? We plant the seeds. Now, I know that seed planted, watered, nurtured, and now I see a 6-foot bush, right? That's science. We can hypothesize what that seed did and how it manifests in the ground, create a root system, but that's science, right? The birds, I mean, everything is around is a scientific fact. That's number one. The second point is this. The sister that created this, she's been working on this for about 10 or 11 years. So it has not just happened overnight.
No, it did not.
The structure of it was already been worked on the last 10 or 11 years.
Yep.
Because the coronavirus has been around since the early 1970s, y'all. So the CDC, and it's a blessing for us to be right here in Georgia because, you know, the CDC is right here. There's only one CDC, and they're looking at all forms of disease around the world. Right. So it's not it was not a quick fix. It did not happen just overnight. This has been in the process for about 10 or 11 years. Yep. The structure of it, they realized what strand they had to go after, and they went through all the proper procedures for the development of it. They tested it. They had so no areas of the process was skipped or circumnavigated or bypassed or any of those things. And so we just got to make sure that we continue to speak the facts about the process, but it did not happen overnight.
It didn't.
Yeah. Well, speaking about opening up, Las Vegas is supposed to be opening back up to 100% capacity on June the 1st. And the airlines, one of the major airlines is opening up to 100% capacity on May the 1st. Yeah. So.
Well, I think that question be for you, Jack. You love to gamble, so what's your take on it? not getting the shot. You like to gamble.
Oh yeah. But you know, I've been to casinos recently, and the way they have it is they used to have, like, you have all the slot machines, you have all these seats together where you're like elbow to elbow. Now they have every other seat, and they have the plexiglass, so you're protected. And then they're constantly coming in, they're wiping down everything to make sure you have on a mask and all. So you have to, you know, do your part. You have to, you know, make sure you're social distancing, make sure you have your mask on, make sure, you know, wipe down, you know, if you have your little hand wipes and everything, wipe down the machine before you play it, use your hand sanitizer and all. I mean, people are still going to get out and do some things. They're still going to get out and do it. But when you start talking about 100% capacity, because, you know, that's going to be a bit much.
Yeah, and now we're going to be able to
in Las Vegas
continue to do that. Are you gonna be able to do that? Because it's gonna be crowded. It's gonna be like
It's gonna be crowded, yeah.
Are they gonna be able, because that little guy, you know, he was right behind you doing it, but can he do it when now you got, you know, 50 more people over there? I don't know. It's just
Because yeah, like she said, the plexiglass might be between the two, but if you got 100% capacity and you got 100 people walking past you, that means you have to live in a bubble. And each one, you have to walk through a tunnel to get to the box to be able to play. You know, it's like it's almost like the inevitable is going to happen. You just know that you're in a walking petri dish at that point.
Right.
You don't know. So that's a chance I definitely am not taking. You know, I'm happy I got my shot. I would have my mask on, but I'm just saying, if you're at 100% capacity, that's just like saying we never had COVID at all. So,
Right.
I don't think that if I'm somewhere and I start stepping in and it looked like, you know, there's too many people,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Leave.
You know,
No.
I'm like, okay, I don't need to be here, and I'll just turn around and leave, and I'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? The amusement park, like Six Flags here in Georgia, you have to make a reservation to go. So my daughter and my son and I, we had made reservations and we went to the park. And I'm thinking there's going to be a small amount of people. As it got darker, there was more people there. So I'm like, how do they know whether you made a reservation or you didn't make a reservation? Because they're not checking you. Okay, when you go through the drive-through to get to the parking, they're just checking your parking pass. But once you get into the gate, and all they're doing is checking your ticket. I don't know if they're checking like on your phone or something, or checking your ID that they actually give you. I mean, how does it? Okay, you can't tell me that all those people made reservations.
Well, you can't tell me that all those people that made reservations aren't. You know, you need to have on your mask and aren't vaccinated too. So at the same time.
Yeah, well, you know, they probably can't say anything about the vaccination, but they can say about the mask because you know, they're real strict. Like you have to keep your mask on. You have to keep your mask on. But when you're in the line for the rides, you're not 6 feet apart. You're not doing social distancing. There's no way. I mean, your family is staying together. Like the three of us, we stayed huddled up together. Make sure people wasn't too close in front of us or too close behind us. You know, you have to do that. You know, and then even when you're standing in line to go and purchase food or something, you got to make sure that, you know, people aren't close up on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because sometimes people will be lax, they'll forget that there's a pandemic and they'll just be all up on you.
Right.
No, we're not having
I'm
that.
talking about.
We're not having that. No, back off. That's why I tell you, I'll stay in the house. Think nothing of it. Stay in the house.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So now,
No, but you know what? Doesn't it prompt the thought or the question that we should have been doing this all along?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know, the whole sanitizing, I mean, the whole, you can no longer go to a buffet where you're handling your own food now, right?
Yeah.
They changed out the spoons, the utensils frequently. I mean,
go up there.
We should have been doing this all along, y'all.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't understand, even to the point about the casinos, right? That whole plexiglass in between, because I don't know, y'all. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think the germ is gonna go, oh, there's a plexiglass. Let me just stop right here.
Yeah.
and then people are touching the plexiglass.
Listen,
too. They can be touching
I'm
it.
6'2",
I don't see them wipes
right?
down the plexiglass all the time.
Right. I mean, you know, when people, it's just amazing. I'm 6'2". My germs goes over the plexiglass, right? It doesn't like go and run into the plexiglass, go, oh, I can't get through. No,
Yeah.
it's
like it's not gonna go, like it's just go straight ahead. It's not gonna spread. Yeah. Right.
So it's like gives us a false sense of security.
Yeah.
But the sanitization piece, wiping things down, they should have had employees doing that anyway in these public places.
Right.
Now I know they're gonna say, well, you know, it's gonna hurt our bottom line because we hire more people to now, you know, go behind everybody that uses the slot machines or, you know.
I've been to the casino before the pandemic, and they do wipe down the slot machines. They do go around it, after a person gets off and everything. If there's a ashtray with ashtray with ashes in it, or the chair is pulled back or something, they will empty out the ashtray, wipe it out. They'll wipe down the machine and everything. They do that. But I guess now it's like more. You notice it more.
But they're not using a disinfectant though, Jacqueline. They're using a disinfectant now.
Yeah.
Because they use a solution. It's different. It's not just, give you this false sense of security.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using an actual solution. And then they'll say, okay, I'm sorry, you gotta wait 10 seconds or 15 seconds because that solution, has to dry or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I've been to the casino not too long ago, and it is different. It is different, and they like, I'm sorry, you gotta give it 10 to 15 seconds, sir. We'll let the solution dry. I'm like, oh, yeah. And in my mind, I'm saying, y'all should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, you like that. You want that to happen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The buffet. They have to serve us now. You can't serve yourself. All the utensils are on the other side, and you have to tell them, okay, I want that mac and cheese. I want those collards. I want them turnips. You don't serve yourself anymore.
Yeah. The mask. They of all people should have always had on a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the hairnet and the gloves. They should have always had on them. Yeah.
That's right.
Always. Yeah.
So I see nothing but good coming out of this, but unfortunately, a third of our society is not going to get vaccinated. So that means we're going to constantly be dealing with this because they're going to be the carriers. And we know this to be true because look at India right now. Look at India.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I have a bunch of coworkers over there and their families, they do not have just something as small as oxygen tanks. They don't even have oxygen tanks to help them, And they're asking, I think we're sending some, the U.S. is sending,
That's correct.
But they don't even have oxygen tanks to take care of the many people that are contracting this virus. It's really bad right now. Really, really bad.
Wow. Now, the one thing I haven't seen open, and I'm sure they are, but I haven't seen them, are the churches.
Oh, no. A lot of them
Are a lot of the churches open?
I mean, all the ones
the
on
mega churches?
Yeah. They're all open.
Really?
Mega church. Well, no, you know
No,
what?
because I don't think World Changes is open. I haven't
I
seen
was gonna
it.
say I can't say mega church. I don't know why I said
No.
that. Yeah.
I think maybe
Maybe the smaller churches.
Joel Osteen. I seen him. They were social distancing in his church. I saw.
But does he have an audience?
Yeah.
He still has an audience? Are they doing social distancing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were social distancing in his church, if I'm not mistaken. But yes.
But that's one thing I haven't seen, churches that are open.
Yeah. Some of them are. But like you said, I'm not sure about the others. Yeah, some are.
So what do you guys think the system should do as far as the schools? Because that's the main thing, getting our children back to school, but safely, because the parents are worried about it. Do they have monitors at the school to make sure that the children are wearing their masks all the time that they're there? Cynthia, you have little ones in school.
Yes, they do. They do. They have to wear. They have mask breaks. During the time the little bell will ring, and I say mask break time, and the kids have to turn away from the other ones. They take their masks, off, and they have I guess 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know how long it is. And then they also go outside and they do social distance outside, and they have a longer mask break then, like 15 minutes without the mask. So they take it off when, of course, they go to eat, and then they have to put it back on. Zara was telling me that if she, sometimes in the class, if like a couple kids are missing, whatever, and she's sitting alone, she can take her mask off at her desk. But if she has somebody right in front of her, she has to put it back on. But yeah.
Teachers, I think if all the teachers were vaccinated and allowed them to become vaccinated, I think it's better.
No, all the teachers are vaccinated.
They should be vaccinated.
Yeah, they called, you know, they had a day that the kids didn't go to school. They was at home. They was, you know, doing the online classes, and all the teachers in the school got vaccinated.
But see, at the end of the day, it could still be passed, because Jacqueline, that could be your situation. You may have small kids to go to school and they wear their mask, but then somebody else can give it to them. They could be asymptomatic, bring it home to you, and you can see. So it needs to stay that way until we are for sure, you know,
Right.
until we're certain.
Well, I know Zai caught it from somebody on the bus, and they sent a letter home saying that, and it was only Zai, the little boy that sits next to Zai, and the kid that sits behind Zai. Those 3 kids got the note, said that they had to be quarantined at home for 14 days because the kid that sits in front of Zai family ended with COVID. And I was like, what? You know,
Why wouldn't they just do all the kids on the bus? Why
no,
wouldn't they-
because they were the only ones that was close enough to the kids, because they have space, you know, they're not sitting right up on each other. But because it was the kid on the first seat, and then Zion was the next seat, and I guess the seats are over like this. And so then where she was from that kid, then they said she was, and because it was Zai was right next to that kid, the kid, our neighbor who rides the bus with Zai, they said he had to stay too. And I mean, he had to quarantine too. And then the kid right behind them had to quarantine. So it was just those ones, but the other kids didn't have to quarantine. And then so they had to quarantine for 14 days. They had to go get the COVID test, you know, see if they was positive. They were all negative, but Zai made me sick. Now my test came up negative, but I was sick, fever, lost smell, taste, falling out, everything. I was 100%. It only lasts like 3 or 4 days, but I was 100% sick.
And if you had that shot, you wouldn't be.
I have it now, but I didn't have it back
Now, but I mean, you know, but that's what I'm saying. That would
then.
have
I
made,
didn't have it back then.
yeah, they didn't. Right, trust me, I know, I had it with you. I was around that time, I had it too, so I understand.
Yeah. So I could not believe she brought it to me. And
Yeah.
didn't have not have a I want to kick on the floor. No symptom, nothing, no fever, no nothing. I said, I cannot believe it. She just running around. I'm out of school. She got to stay out of school. I'm the only one sick. I was the only one in the house sick.
Well, keep in mind that the vaccine, depending on which one you get, the efficacy, we recall what Meady and Dr. K was telling us how, Moderna is like 99% efficacy and Pfizer is like 95% efficacy, but the flu shot is like 60% efficacy, right? I mean, it's much lower. The Johnson & Johnson is like 70% efficacy. And so, when you think about the flu shot, and a lot of us been getting the flu shot for years, the vaccine for the coronavirus is much higher than the flu shot.
Wow.
Right? I mean, and so your immune system, listen, God designed our immune system to be an awesome defense mechanism, right? To fight off, the normal germs, right? But there's some super bugs out there, and our immune system could be compromised. And that's where these vaccines come in to help our immune system, it's like, give our immune system this steroid shot, right? This that makes it even stronger. So our immune system, will not become compromised depending on, the virus that is trying to fight. And we no longer, like I said earlier, right? We no longer have to deal with smallpox, right? Smallpox killed tens of millions of folks back in 1918, right? Smallpox. But we don't have to worry about smallpox anymore, right? We don't have to worry about polio and mumps and measles. I mean, I remember, and I'm sure we all could, when HIV was like, woo, HIV, right? I mean, nobody knew what it was, right? You know, it just shut everything down, right? Everybody's like, you know, sexual activities like shot through the
Stop. Stop.
through the cellar, right? But then when AIDS came out, because they like, hey, we got something to fight AIDS. I mean HIV, but then when AIDS came out, it was, you know, even, you know, more scarier. But you know, we again have medicine to help those, you know, men and women who are carrying AIDS, you know, to have a quality of life, right? And I remember when Magic Johnson first came out with his story in the early 90s, right? It killed his basketball career because the other basketball players, you know, treated him like he had two heads, right? And, and so we just gotta not play into the fear. We have to trust in God, trust in medicine, that God gave man the ability, men and women with these skill sets, to create the medicine to help our immune system, because that's what it's all about.
Well, Derek, let me ask you a question. Your daughter plays volleyball. How does that work with the social distancing? Because that can be considered contact sport.
It is contact.
How does that work?
It is contact. Because, I mean, okay, and I'm glad you asked that question, Jacqueline, because all these, you know, 6 players on each side, they all touch the ball. They all touch the ball. They're not wearing gloves. They're all touching the ball, right? And they're not wearing masks, right? We're wearing a mask on the sidelines, but they're not wearing masks, right? You can't play a sport with this mask and you're trying to breathe. You're gonna have other problems, right? You're gonna faint. You're gonna dehydrate. You're gonna have a lot of problems.
Before the game.
Say again, LJ.
They're not testing them before the games, are they, Derek?
No. Well, no, they're not. So that's the other part. So there's this honor. Hey, LJ, it's an honor system. Honor system.
Okay.
Honor system. So the coaches know that if any of their players have these symptoms, you can't play. You can't play your player, right? But you know, hey, but if you got your star player, hey, here's a couple of Tylenols. Let it, you know, break that fever, right? I mean, because it's a competitive sport, right? It's AAU travel club.
You know, I didn't even have a fever when I had COVID. I didn't even have a fever. So that's but you go ahead. I mean, I get my temperature checked when I go to the doctor, which I understand that, but I didn't even have a fever when I had COVID. So, you know, it just it depends on who it is. So when they do that, like you said, if it's a star player, here's a couple Tylenol, but that doesn't mean that he or she doesn't have it or can't pass it along, right?
That's right. Because they're all touching that ball. They're all touching the ball. That's what I'm saying. They're all touching the ball.
Right. Right.
I understand this, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Now, have they started back the sports in the schools, the high schools?
Yeah. Yes.
And football practice too?
Yes.
If I saw them out there practicing.
Basketball, football, yes.
Wow. So they're just acting like nothing's happening, nothing's going on. Everybody normal. So
because
dangerous.
it's money. Even high school football is money.
Out the money.
And that's sad. It's so sad. I you know, when I think about families like LJ, you lost your father, right? It didn't have to be that way. It wasn't. Now, if you would have said, listen, you know, my dad had terminal cancer. Okay, we get that, right? Because we're still working on a cure for cancer. But we're talking about this coronavirus that we have a cure for.
Yep.
A cure.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's that vaccine. If your dad had that shot, he'll be ready to celebrate Father's Day in June.
Right here. Right here.
I mean,
that's right.
And
That's
that's what hurts.
what's absurd to me. That's the part that bothers me the most, is because he's not here, and it took him in 3 days. So and that's what I'm saying. It holds near and dear to me when I think about it, and I'm just can talk about it now, but and barely can, but still, it bothers me when somebody doesn't give me you can't give me a logical reason as to why you won't get something that can help all of us.
Right.
Well, just all of us, so we can all have some type of normalcy, something where we can all come back together at one particular time just to be together. I won't be able to with my father, and that is, I mean, every time I mention it, it's like, just shoot me again. So it's not easy. So when somebody said they can't give me a reason except for I got to keep seeing if they're going to, how many more people get, I mean, how many more people we've had, how many people so far get vaccinated in Georgia, Derek?
With 28%.
How many million? Is that 3?
Yeah, it's about 3 million.
3 million? So you're going to tell me 3 million, how many people have gotten sick, died? But we got 500 people who died in the US already.
Yeah.
And people think that's a conspiracy theory. I have a obituary to prove not. Okay. So I need people to just, and it holds dear and near to me. And it frustrates me. So sometimes I just stop talking about it when somebody, and I understand it's your personal opinion. I mean, and your personal, I'm not against it. It's just, if you can't give me a logical reason as to why, except for to say, I'm just waiting on a few more people to get the shot, that makes no sense.
LJ, my mother, bless her soul. I mean, she been passed away 8 years ago, but she said to me a long time ago, and I still believe it to be true. She said, Derek, a rational person cannot have a conversation with an irrational person.
So true.
Right? And the Bible even tells us that. I mean, think about this evening. I mean, for almost an hour we've been on this show. Everything that we talked about, all the various scenarios, these are all facts, right? The military, getting on the airplane, taking your child to the doctor that you don't know. I mean, all these various scenarios. I mean, I can't think of any reason for someone. I was in a debate club back in undergrad, and our debate team won because we just kept it to the facts, right? Polio used to kill people. Smallpox used to kill people, right? This is not the first time this has happened in this country or in the world. I mean, go back to 1918. I mean, none of us were around, but 1918, it killed millions and millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
And we developed a vaccine, right? I still got, Jacqueline, you talking to that mark? I got that little mark, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that was, whatever was in that, whatever was that shot they gave us, it left a mark. And I'm 55
It left a
years
mark.
old.
It did something to your skin.
Right?
Or something, right? Like tetanus or something. Yeah, but yeah.
It's, whatever that tetanus shot, whatever it is, but we get on airplanes, y'all. I mean,
Get on public transportation. I mean,
yes.
And put your headphones on and go to sleep. Go to sleep.
We let somebody go do our brakes on our car. We get in the car, put it in drive, going down the hill, and they put our brake, and they did our brakes, and they forget to put the brakes on.
Or didn't tighten up the bolts on the tires.
Where we going?
Anything.
Trust them. You trust the mechanics. I mean, I just don't get it, but
Because we're speaking rational, LJ. We speaking rational.
Right. You're right. But hopefully this will change some minds. Of course, again, this is our point of view, right, Jack?
Yep. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep getting it out there.
Yeah.
We got to keep talking about it.
Right.
But I tell you what though, yeah, let there be a spike when those go to that Atlanta soccer game or the base Atlanta Braves game, let there be a significant spike. You got to shut it down, right? And so it doesn't, this yo-yo doesn't work. It's not healthy because you take 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, right? Because it takes 14 days for you to be incubated. 14 days, right? And so my prayer is take it slow, mask up. Listen, I got so many masks. Man, listen, I got so many masks.
You got bow ties.
Listen, I rock a mask with a bow tie on, right? I mean, I got so many masks, right? I mean, hey, listen, listen, Michael Jackson used to wear a mask. And now, listen, I got so many masks. Listen, I got masks in my office. I got masks in my vehicle. I got masks in the Jeep. Man, I got masks everywhere.
I just ordered 100 masks for my mama because she insisted. So I just from Amazon. So I'm with you. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Because a mask is better than 6 feet under. And that is a bridge we all will have to cross one day. But I ain't trying to rush it.
No.
Exactly.
I ain't trying to rush it, y'all. God's still working with me. He's still got.
I don't want to hear that either. You got to die of something because this is something I don't want to die of. I'm sorry.
Right. God's still saying, Derek, we got work to do. Yes, sir.
I need you here.
Mask up.
Handle your business. I need you out there handling business.
That's it. I'll touch your elbow. Hey, listen, I get your elbow. Remember when Barack and Michelle Obama did the fist bump?
Yep.
And they were like, oh, it's a terrorist. Oh, look what they're doing, the fist bump. Now everybody fist bumping. Is that something?
Everybody.
I laugh, but it's just, I mean, it's not a funny situation, but I just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
That was 2007, 2008. And they fist bumped. They're like, oh my goodness, he fist bumped. What that mean? They don't understand what they mean. Right? So, yeah, shoot, man. I got so many. And listen, and for our viewers, I got Georgia, and I got Georgia Tech. I got Clemson. I don't care. I rock them all.
Depends on where you go, huh?
I rock them. That's exactly right. Wherever I am on location.
I'm with you.
That's good. It's all about staying safe, doing our social distancing, doing our mask, washing our hands. So that's what it's all about. So let's do a takeaway on this. Cinta, how do you feel about this? Give us a little takeaway about them opening up the state.
I worry about it. But I do know it needs to happen. And hopefully we make a lot of smart decisions. I do hope that people do continue to social distance, wear their masks, keep hands clean, and stay at home if you don't have to go out. If you don't have to go, stay in the house. I'm loving the whole grocery stores coming to the front door. Nothing wrong with
Yes.
that. Yeah. And nothing wrong with that. Just do that. That's a nice little job. It's helping out a lot of people. So let's just try to just stay safe and until we know that this is a 100.
We're hurt a minute.
And
Yeah, I'm with Cinta. I'm just staying prayed up and masked up. That's the best I can do right now, and still promoting to please get your shots. I mean, just go ahead and get vaccinated. Just get the doggone shot. That's it. I think the virus will kill you faster than the shot will. So I stay prayed up and masked up, and just keep it at that.
Yeah. And Mr. Derek.
Listen, I want you all to just look at the facts. Know your truth, follow the science, because I prefer for you to be 6 feet apart instead of 6 feet deeper.
I agree.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. We had a great conversation, and we're going to continue these conversations because they're needed. And this is actually educating people. It's educating everyone, so they can make a decision whether they want to get this vaccination or they don't want to get it. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you guys out there in Facebook land for joining us as well. Just remember that everything you heard and everything we said was our point of view. We'll see you next time.